right, what's up, everybody? We are back after a little bit of a hiatus, but finally we have Shurima. It's dropped. It's here. Finally, we get the big old Nasus, AZIR, Renekton, all those level 3 champs that we all adore and love. So pretty awesome to see them in the game now. And oh my god, it's been so fun getting my hands on these cards. Every champion feels, as per usual, thank you Riot, feels exactly like the champions in League of Legends. So, as always, my name is Shit Just Works. We're gonna go over one of the more popular decks to get started here with the drop of Shurima. You guys have probably maybe seen this floating around, or you probably thought of it yourself when you saw all these cards, namely the Sand Soldiers. Aggro, because who doesn't think of aggro when new cards drop, right? So with that said, we're going to go through the deck itself real quick as per usual, followed by a couple of games to see how this bad boy plays out. Alright, so here we go. I was not original at all with the deck name. It's called Face, because that's what you do. And I think this deck in particular is identical to Mr. Emotional, my fellow aggro player there and self-proclaimed favorite player. This is his version of the deck as well, I believe, that he had tweeted about. So, but it's pretty simple. You have all of these Sand Soldiers that are getting summoned continuously every single turn whenever you attack, on top of lots of, tiny followers as well to kind of swarm the board. And the most important part, I think, with a card like Spirit Leech, there is a ton, and I mean a ton of draw. So, typically token aggro decks in any game, really, they run out of steam at some point. Any sort of face or aggro deck, you're trying to exhaust all resources to just go ahead and get your opponent down to 0 before they have any chance to recover. This does the same thing, except we have cards like Spirit Leech, which draw 2. Blighted Caretaker, it doesn't draw, but a lot of times can creep back the advantage with those saplings trading with units on the board. We have Shark Chariot. Shark Chariot is finally in a deck that seems like it might be okay, which concerns me because every time this has been in a deck at the beginning of a format, it ends up falling off. So we'll see how long this deck lasts for. Then we have Emperor's Deus. I don't know how you pronounce it. That is always summoning a Sand Soldier as well. So it's basically a free token every single turn. And yeah, and then you have all of these other units that essentially are just creating other units, right? You got the Curse Keeper, you have the Ravenous Butcher. Obviously, Curse Keeper, Ravenous Butcher start feels really good all the time. Now it feels better with Bakai Reaper. This thing is a beast when you are able to get it down early, especially with Bark Beast. I mean, look at this. If this isn't this is one of the decks you will see in Legends of Runeterra that takes no thought. You throw everything down on the field, you go face. That's how you play the deck. So it's decent. There are some minor things you got to take into consideration here. Fading Icon, using that prey for some of those sacrifice abilities like Ravenous Butcher, things of that nature. And then obviously Stalking Shadows in there is another draw card I didn't mention earlier. And we'll see AZIR. I'm going to go through AZIR a little bit more during the game because AZIR, this bad boy, very much like him. He's very much an aggro champion. And AZIR and ELISE, they just go hand in hand, baby. So without further ado, let's get into one of the first aggro decks of the format, ELISE AZIR. All right, and first up here, we actually have Nasus and Kindred, which another 2 new champions in addition to AZIR here. Kindred actually getting seen all over the place. If you guys haven't seen the new Ladros combo with that card that basically turns it into Dreadway right after its effect triggers. So interesting stuff there. But in this case, going for that Slay type mechanic, I imagine, with our opponent's deck. With our deck, though, got the dream, I gotta say. And this is probably why this game ended up in a victory. Getting that Bakai Reaper alongside ELISE feels really good early on. We're gonna get the additional spider token generated as well, which, they're not as crucial in this particular deck because this is by no means a spider deck. It's not like we're playing Frenzied Skitterer, but that is a token that we can use for, Ravenous Butcher, which we do see in hand. And honestly, obviously we don't want to sack our ELISE or our Bakai Reaper, so that would be the prime target there. Unfortunately, losing it to Vile Feast. Gotta love it. But we got a second Bakai Reaper, so So, honestly, listen, the beginning of this game, pretty straightforward. Not gonna lie. You throw the cheap units down on the field, and if you get the Deus, which we just cut right there, you play it. Because these Sand Soldiers, if you don't know, they do an additional Nexus damage when they hit Nexus, so definitely going to get a lot of work done. Unfortunately, we actually lose both our Reapers to the Saplings. That's actually what I was talking about with our deck, sometimes being able to do that, right? You're getting advantage just by trading with the Bakai Reapers. Actually, one thing I do want to mention with the Reapers, and I think a lot of people are forgetting this on ladder, at least to start. Obviously, there's a lot of new cards. When the Reapers, or even your own units for that matter, and this is for any Slay effect, when your units are blocking, or even the Reapers are blocking for an attack, they're going to proc their effect and increase the attack. And that goes for any other Slay effect, right? So combat, you really got to take into consideration combat. It's similar to Bark Beast, right? Bark Beast, you always kind of want to order at the end of the attack line, so to speak, so that they have to block everything else first, and if they kill a unit, Bark Beast is actually going to end up being a 3/3. So it's similar to that kind of ordering like that. But as you can see, lots of damage going fit. Honestly, if I were to Stygian Onlooker, I might not put in this deck. I might put maybe like another, I don't know, a couple more draw cards. You know, it seems kind of trolly to put, I don't know, I think it's like 12 1-drops when you consider the Doomkeeper as well. So this is very, very, very 1-drop heavy deck. And I mean, the goal is essentially to win by turn. Well, we're on turn 5. The only reason we're not winning is because we don't have the attack token. We can take this face, and next time we have the attack, we have plenty of damage to go ahead and push for lethal, right? So maybe Stygian Onlooker is good. I mean, I am a proponent of Stygian Onlooker. One of the best use cases, which I have probably just beaten this dead horse into oblivion, casting tournaments and stuff, is, you know, the ability to tempo-wise have a huge tempo swing and huge damage swing, because it ends up being a 4-1 after your opponent plays some sort of large removal effect like Ruination. You know, you only have 3 mana left. You have 3 Stygian Onlookers in hand. Your opponent plays a Ruination, taps out of mana. Well, guess what? You got 3 Stygian Onlookers, and you can't play Withering Wail, something like Withering Wail, alongside Ruination unless one of them's reduced cost, right? So Stygian Onlooker in general, I am usually a supporter of. Here is actually one of the weaknesses of the deck. Withering Wail. I'm actually playing another Lysandra deck right now, and specifically playing a couple Withering Wail, because Sand Soldiers, they completely get destroyed by Withering Wail. Not gonna lie. It is what it is. It's how the cookie crumbles. Unfortunately, you are very susceptible to that. I mean, even something like this Fading Icon and the other 4/1 that you sack a unit to draw 2, which I actually cannot remember the name of right now. Spirit Leech, it's like I planned that. Let's go. If you notice, our entire field is essentially 1 health. That's really dangerous. I mean, on the bright side, we finally have AZIR, so you guys can see AZIR go off real quick, and also get the level up animation, because I know that's what you guys really want. Come on, let's be honest. AZIR's a little stickier, you know, at 5 health, which feels a little bit good. If it wasn't for that high health total on AZIR, if he was not sticky, I think this deck would actually be pretty bad, because you need AZIR. Like right now, like we see the board state right now, we are very susceptible to another, you know, Withering Wail, and we're starting to run out of cards. And that's why I mentioned, like, those Spirit Leeches are important. If we didn't top deck that Spirit Leech, I mean, we're running out of cards. And this is a point in time where, you know, the opponent could potentially stabilize. Like, we see this all the time in control matchups, where it's late game, we got the opponent down to 3 health, and now they play a bunch of Withering Wail, they're back up in health, they establish a field, they block, and they're back up and stabilized and able to take home the game. But fortunately for us, Spirit Leech gives us those extra cards we need. We even have a Doom Beast to finish it off if we need it. That's what Doom Beast is in there for. Also lets you survive maybe a turn or 2 more if you are going up against a fellow aggro player there. And yeah, we are able to take game 1 with the Sand Soldiers, and that's how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you do it. Game 2, I think is, yeah, this is, all right. So this is actually, I actually have not built this deck yet, and I really want to build this deck. Mono Demacia actually seems really fun right now. I think you guys do get to see here in by turn 6, actually, Jarvan, which I think this might have answered my question when we did the Jarvan reveal as to whether or not he's like a required summon, if that makes sense. If you have the mana and he's in hand, I think it is required. I don't know if my opponent, I actually don't know because I don't know if my opponent chose to summon him or not. But we'll see that turn 6. I'm glad you guys get to see Jarvan in action. So we get actually 2 games versus some new Shurima champions or some new champions from the set, which is pretty cool. So Deus again early on, very, very impactful landmark. I love it. This landmark, it's very sneakily. It sneaks up on your opponent, right? They're like, oh, all right, he's going to get a 1-1 that deals 2 damage. Like, it's going to die anyways. Like, it's a tempo loss overall. Like, technically, it is kind of a little bit of a tempo loss because those ephemeral units, they can just let hit face, the Sand Soldiers, take the damage, and then you really didn't gain any tempo on board unit-wise, right? But the idea is that you're actually pressuring with so much damage that your opponent actually gets to the situation where they need to start blocking these Sand Soldiers. And like even here, I thought last game was the dream. This is the dream. We were able to get Ravenous Butcher with this Bakai Reaper, get it up a little bit. We also even got the Cursed Keeper to get the Abomination. And because we have that wide of a board, that allows these Sand Soldiers to get through. Like, there's no reason you'd block it now, but as the game goes on, these Sand Soldiers, they're going to start putting pressure on. It's basically 2 damage a turn as long as we can maintain a wider board than our opponent. Which honestly is not normally easy versus Demacia, right? I mean, you can already see we have this Vanguard Lieutenant. We have, can't remember for the life of me, this new girl that gives you the tattered banner or whatever. Which actually comes in big for my opponent here. I think Tattered Banner is the next unit you summon. Gets Challenger. It's kind of like that Shadow Isles card where the next unit gets Spell Shield +1/+0. This I like. So that's this combo. I just want to shout out this combo real quick for my opponent. This card we never really saw too much play, this Scout here on field. And with something like Tattered Banner, all of a sudden a Scout with Barrier and Challenger is incredible. It just basically decimated my field. Like this, at this point, like if you look at the board and you look at what's going on right now, we are super far behind. Like there's no way we come back in this. Right? Ha! Wrong! We have, this is why Prey is good, alright? We have 2 Spirit Leech in hand. And this is why Spirit Leech is good. This is exactly what this deck is supposed to do to gain back advantage. So I'm actually, it's almost like I planned this too. I'm actually very excited we have Blighted Caretaker on the field. This is what I mean with Blighted Caretaker. Inherently, it doesn't seem like it gains advantage because it's giving you 2 ephemeral units. So it's just like more aggro, right? Like when you just push face or you pull a unit to the side to push more damage. No, in this case, we are actually able to trade with units here, like because one of them is a 3/1 now thanks to AZIR's level 2 effect, and the other one's trading with a 2/2. Especially against Demacia, where they're trying to be a board-centric deck. This is incredible. The Darius emote, I actually want to mention this quick, because I screwed up here. So AZIR adds a Deus effect. So technically we would have gotten 2 Sand Soldiers. So AZIR says every time, this level 2 anyways, every time you attack, you summon a Sand Soldier. Actually, level 1 says that too. So now that I have both on field, I would have gotten 2. There's really no reason for me to have attacked with the Blighted Caretaker there, because I would have just gotten an ephemeral unit. It would have done the same damage, and actually it would have done 1 more damage because of the Sand Soldier's effect, right? So I missed out on a little bit of damage there, no big deal, but it was a mistake. I want to go ahead and shout that out. But yeah, all right. So we got the advantage with the Blighted Caretaker. Now we're kind of back to even with our opponent as far as cards and field is concerned. Now, granted, our field is still very weak, like especially because we attacked with that AZIR, which pushed damage onto it. Now we're even more vulnerable to, again, something like Withering Wail. This is only Demacia, so we're not going to see that. But I just want to point that out again because that is like the biggest weakness of this deck. So yeah, but now we have these 2 Spirit Leeches in hand. These are amazing. Now we can't play it because unfortunately our opponent traded with the field, so we're going to go ahead and grab some other stuff. I think we go with the Doom Beast here because we're also close to finishing off our opponent as well. But this is incredible. We play the Doom Beast that sticks to the field. Now we have the Spirit Leech that's going to be able to draw us 2 next turn if we need to. And we're back on track. Things are going well. Things are going pretty well. I'm just going to say. And again, you guys get to see. I totally skipped over. I almost wanted to call him Garen there. Jarvan, Garen, same thing. He did like burst, like a burst champion, right? But now, yeah, so here is where we can start to actually get the advantage back for that final push that we need. Looks like we are just gonna, yeah, we can just attack here too for the 2 sand soldiers. And this is where, like, the sand soldiers are so crucial. Now this forces my opponent into having to stop this attack, which might have not been lethal, but it is. We didn't even need the spirit leeches. We are able to close out this game super clean with good old AZIR sand soldiers. Let's go. All right, guys, that's it. AZIR, ELISE, one of the better, day 1 decks. If you guys want to go ahead and try it out, don't kill me if it's terrible. I just, like I said, swap out some Stygian onlookers. No, it's not bad. It's pretty good deck, especially if you're looking to climb. If you're just getting into the game, because you're like, what's all this hubbub with Shurima? If you're just getting into the game, this deck is 100% great for iron, bronze, silver, probably even gold. Once you start getting up to platinum, it's a little bit more competitive, and you start to see a lot of different things anyways. So, but definitely new players, try this out. Super fun deck, super quick and easy to play deck. And yeah, I hope this video helped you guys out. So as always, everybody, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you, and peace out.